we need to talk about FanimeCon. For those who don't know, FanimeCon is an anime convention held in San Jose, California over Memorial Day weekend. Failed by Fanime is an organization run by the former staffers of FanimeCon who have asked us to share our stories. So here's mine. My first FanimeCon was in 2009. It was the first convention I ever went to, and I was immediately hooked. My experience was sullied, however, by the ever-constant presence of my ex-boyfriend, whom we'll call Staffer X. During our relationship, Staffer X assaulted me numerous times. We broke up shortly before FanimeCon 2009. That year, Staffer X was never far behind me. I didn't know it at the time, but that was to become a pattern. From that year onward, every FanimeCon was marred by Staffer X's constant presence. He joined FanimeCon staff and used the privileges that afforded him to follow me everywhere. In April of 2010, I cut all contact with Staffer X and told him to leave me alone. This message was completely ignored, and FanimeCon 2010 was the same as FanimeCon 2009 and every year that came after, with Staffer X following me around the convention center. In 2014, I decided to go to Black and White Ball at FanimeCon for the first time. It was also to be my last, as Staffer X spent the entire night circling the ballroom, getting closer and closer to my table each time. It was so egregiously obvious what Staffer X was doing that my friend who was with me refused to leave me alone at any point during that night. In 2015, unbeknownst to me, Staffer X was removed from BabsCon staff for, among other things, quote, 6 separate reports of creepy and uncomfortable conduct, end quote. In 2016, Staffer X decided to follow me to another event. At the time, I was a volunteer for Dead Time Dreams, a local Halloween maze. I was an actor, and as I was touring the new maze for that year, Staffer X approached me with a wide grin and outstretched arms, saying, "Hi Lex," as if I had not repeatedly asked him to leave me alone and wanted to cut all contact. I told the organizers of Dead Time Dreams that I was uncomfortable around Staffer X and that I would not participate in the event if he was there. I was assured that he was told to leave me alone and that I would be safe. Once again, he was never far away, while constantly staring at me, and I tried to ignore him and do my work. In 2018, Staffer X joined InfoDesk staff at FanimeCon and used it as an excuse to go into the cosplay lounge where I worked. This was the year that Cosplay Gatherings banned Staffer X from the cosplay lounge, as my department heads found his constant presence in the lounge excessive. He still attempted to enter the lounge multiple times, despite being told to leave. Also in 2018, I was outside Black and White Ball, helping cosplayers and attendees alter their garments to fit the ball's dress code when Staffer X approached me again. He made comments about my appearance while staring at my chest, and I told him, again, to leave me alone. During the event, I also observed Staffer X approach a femme staffer from behind a glass panel, bang his hands against the glass to scare this staffer, and walk off laughing while she shook. My friend told me how to report these incidents, so I did the next morning. The report was delivered to FanimeCon 2018's head of convention operations, and at the time I was told 3 things. I was not the first person to report Staffer X. I was not the first person to report Staffer X about that night, and that I would hear back from FanimeCon leadership within a month. I did not hear back from anyone about the incident until October, when I emailed FanimeCon's chair. This incident was considered resolved by FanimeCon in March of 2018 when a member of Staffer X's leadership team talked to him about the incident. In January of 2019, I volunteered at another event within the same convention center as FanimeCon. Further confusion. I volunteered as Fursuit Lounge staff. Unfortunately, Staffer X also staffed at Further Confusion and was told not to enter the Fursuit Lounge, but did so anyway. This prompted me to look into bringing a friend with security and bodyguard experience to FanimeCon, as it was obvious that Staffer X was not going to leave me alone, despite repeated attempts to tell him to do so, and I had little faith in FanimeCon's ability to protect me. This decision was the right one, as I would find out in 2022. FanimeCon 2019 was the first year I did not have to deal with Staffer X, and I attribute that to my friend's presence. In 2022, Fanime returned from the pandemic, and so did I. However, due to several surgeries, I was in a wheelchair. While in Idris's closet, helping attendees with their outfits prior to Black and White Ball, once again, Staffer X entered the room. I was told that Staffer X was not allowed in Idris's closet, which is why I felt comfortable going there during Black and White Ball. Luckily, I had kept my friend close by due to 2018's incident, and he got between myself and Staffer X while I fled back to the cosplay lounge. Once again, I reported Staffer X to FanimeCon, and once again I was told I would hear back from the chair team promptly that this was Staffer X's last straw, and that he would be removed from staffing. In early 2023, I was surprised to see Staffer X's name on FanimeCon's staff list for the 2023 event, and promptly began a follow-up with FanimeCon's chair team. The response I received from the programming division was an email stating that they had received two very different stories, and that the best course of action was that we were to be kept apart during the convention. If either of us violated this agreement, both of us would be removed from staffing. By this point, I had started talking with a lawyer regarding a restraining order. While investigating, my lawyer found several cases where Staffer X had physically assaulted his partner's ex-husband. Staffer X had a restraining order put against him and was ordered to pay for his victim's medical bills. I reached out to FanimeCon's chair team to request a meeting in mid-January, but received no response. When I told my division head that I was going to go public with my experiences, I was granted a meeting request that day. Our meeting was February 2nd, 2023, with members of the chair team, my department and division heads, and myself. I was told they were working on an updated code of conduct, in part due to these incidents. My department head forwarded all the information and incident reports we had, including the case numbers my lawyer had found. The only response we received was an email on February 9th that they were still looking into the incidents. On March 1st, I went public with my story. I did not attend FanimeCon. On May 26th, my department head met with his division head and asked for an update on Staffer X. My department head was given a rough draft of the Code of Conduct and was told that this Code of Conduct was in effect for staff for 2023. He was also told that I was being unofficially asked not to return to FanimeCon 2024 and that the board and chair were preparing a cease and desist against me for my public statements. That cease and desist never arrived. In October, I had heard rumors that Staffer X was removed from Further Confusion due to an incident in January at Further Confusion. I applied to return to Fursuit Lounge staff and was accepted. Out of an abundance of caution, I checked the staff list and once again found Staffer X. I reached out to my department head of Further Confusion and apologized, stating that I would not be able to staff due to Staffer X's presence. He immediately followed up with me, apologized, and reassured me that FC took these events very seriously and that he had already started a conversation with Further Confusion's HR department. The HR department reached out to me promptly, stating, quote, "I can only imagine the incidents you might have encountered after being brought up to speed on the individual's background." I forwarded the same information to them as I had forwarded to FanimeCon and prepared to remove another convention from my roster. Within a week, I received an email stating that Staffer X had been permanently removed from staffing at Further Confusion and that if he were to make any contact with me during FC, he would be removed from the premises. In 2024, to my surprise, resignation from my former FanimeCon department heads started popping up on Facebook. Being wary of speaking out publicly, I emailed the chair and board of directors of Fanime, asking for a copy of the cease and desist that had never arrived. I wanted to know what I could talk about publicly without fearing legal trouble. I received a response less than 24 hours later. Quote, "Thank you for reaching out. We are not seeking any such action at this time." End quote. They continued with an update stating that the Code of Conduct update included changes due to feedback they had received from myself and others, and closed with, "My desire to maintain a safer con was fueled by you, and I remain true to that cause." While I desperately want to believe those words, after everything I've been through, I cannot find it in me to do so.